Hello, my name is Veronica Vallejos, and I am making this video for my children's literature class about the top 5 books that I chose that would be great to use for a history lesson. And the history lesson that I chose was the Civil Rights Movement. So my first book of choice was Through My Eyes by Ruby Bridges. And this is the book. It's the back cover. This book is an autobiography about 6-year-old Ruby Bridges, who is the author of the book. She was 6 at the time that everything was happening. She was the first black student at the William Frantz Public School in New Orleans. She recalls being confused, seeing angry crowds outside of her school, and how she felt lonely as being the only colored child at the school. But the only friendship that she ended up forming was her first grade teacher. The book has a lot of newspaper quotes as well as photographs, and her autobiography is quite unique because she shows her innocence through her storytelling of segregation. And I really like this book because it has a lot of pictures in it, as you can see. I really like the pictures. And I think this would be great for a 3rd grade classroom all the way up to maybe 5th grade classroom because of the detailed explanation that Ruby Bridges gives to her audience. It's not too complex for the younger readers, and it's really informative, I think. The only weakness that I saw with this book is that it had a lot of emotion, and younger readers may not be able to relate to it. No one is going to relate to the story, obviously, to what she went through, but it gives a great description. Ruby Bridges gives great description of not only her personal story, but of all the segregation that she saw around her. Bridges' ability to recall her childhood thoughts combined with the striking imagery serves as a great stepping stone, and it helps prompt students to ask different questions, such as, what would I have done if I was in her spot, or how would I have felt about that? And that's what we need to, think about when we're going to teach a history lesson about the Civil Rights Movement. So that was my first choice, and I thought this was a really great book. My second choice was called A Dream of Freedom. That is the book, by Diane McWhorter. And I thought this was a really informative book on the different things that happened between 1954 and 1968 that were happening during the Civil Rights Movements. She provides context for the ongoing fight for tolerance and equality in this country. She talks about things such as the Brown versus Board education case, which happened in 1954, and things such as the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., which happened in 1968. There are many photographs of the many arrests that were happening during the time, and that serves as a great visual to the children that are reading it. It teaches our children about prejudice, and the pictures, as well as the different stories, teach our students about the many struggles that African Americans went through during those difficult times in our country. The author brings this era to life with the many techniques that she uses in her book. Things such as interviews she conducted and all the pictures she provided. It's a great book to use in a 6th grade classroom. Because of its complexity, it's better for the older elementary school children, but it's very informative. And I want to show you guys the pictures. So that's like the main cover. And there's pictures in there. I don't know, there's pictures like on every page probably, but they're just little small pictures, and they provide it just probably grasp what's going on the page, and I really like that. My next book is called Cracking the Wall, The Struggles of the Little Rock Nine. And this book is just very easy to read, very easy to understand, and that's why I thought this book would be good for probably a 1st through 3rd grade classroom maybe. It has a lot of pictures, that's why it's really easy. It's about the 9 children back in 1957 that protested for their education. It tells the stories about the real and fictional characters in the stories. It focuses on a single important episode in the book that describes a historical event, but this book engages its readers' interest and their imagination, and it's written in story format, so it's like it tells like a little mini chapter book, and that's why I really like it. It has pictures in it, and it's followed kind of by like with like a brief little summary of the historical event to further explain the significance that it had on our history. I think it's a really great book for younger readers because of the pictures, and it engages the story it tells. It's really captivating. I didn't think I found any weaknesses with this book just because of the age group and how easy it is to understand it. And it's great just for the age level that it's made for. The next book is a biography of Rosa Parks. It's called Rosa Parks, Courageous Citizen by Ruth Ashby. This is just a small chapter book about her life, her amazing life, and it quickly just outlines her life and all the major events that took place during her life. It's about her courageous act and how it sparked a widespread interest in the civil rights movement. This biography features a story of her life, including a lot of the political context and what empowered her to stay seated when she was told to move on the bus. There's a lot of sidebars that are included that provide additional information, and this book also has a lot of photographs that can draw the reader into the era, and it just kind of takes you there, and it shows you what's going on, and it just sparks your imagination. That's what happens in the book. I think this book was great for ages 10 and up because it's a small little chapter book. I think the only so-called weakness that I found for this book is that it did have a lot of information, and it can be a lot for someone that's really young to take in, but it's just great. It's very informative since it is a biography, but it's great, and it's a great history lesson since it is for a civil rights movement history lesson, and it's a chapter book. These are all the chapters, and it has pictures again that inform us what's going on the page, and like on my favorite page that starts the entire thing is the very first introduction, and it's just a letter from Nelson Mandela to Rosa Parks, and it just talks about how he was coming to meet her, and it's kind of just amazing just to like read it, and I really love this book. That's one of the great ones out of all the 5. And my last book is called Martin Luther King, Civil Rights Leader by Robert Jacobek, and it's a great biography on Martin Luther King Jr. And this book is on the dramatic, yet very brief life on the best-known leader of the civil rights movement. And in this book, it vividly explores his life. Robert Jacobek, the author, just talks about the history of the African Americans, and he skillfully weaves in the contemporary just accounts of Martin Luther King's activities and the civil rights movement and all the major events that happened. And he talks about King's speech and the writings and everything. Everything is just used to deepen the reader's understanding of what was going on during this time. And he pays a lot of respect to him. But the author, he doesn't ignore like all the allegations that were made against him and his inappropriate behavior. But that's what makes it a really good book. And there are a lot of black and white photography of King and all the different events that occurred during the movement. And I think this is a great book because it's very informative on the life of MLK, and it gives the audience a great understanding on how he had such a great influence during the movement and all the events that happened. I think this would be a great book to teach to children who are ages 10 and up. It would be a great way to teach them about who he was and teach them about the civil rights movement. I really didn't find anything wrong with it at all. I thought it was really informative and very, very appropriate. I'm going to show you inside this book. Again, there's pictures of just different things that were going on. One of my favorite pictures is this one. It was his last speech right before he was shot on the balcony of his motel. This is his final speech. It's kind of sad to think about, but this is a really great book. I really liked it. But that's it. Those are the 5 books that I thought would be great to teach the children of all different ages, mainly the older ones, but about the civil rights movement. Thank you. Have a nice day.